Lent and Easter, Part 2. I am Reverend Imran Shuker. Lent and Easter, Part 2. I am Reverend Imran Shuker. First Council of Nicaea, 325 AD. This controversy between those who advocated independent computations and those who wished to continue the custom of relying on the Jewish calendar was formally resolved by First Council of Nicaea in 325, which endorsed changing to an independent computation by the Christian community in order to celebrate in common. This effectively required the abandonment of the old custom of consulting the Jewish community in those places where it was still used. We who speak English suffer of a fundamental disorientation when we consider the central mysteries of faith. In most languages, the same word applies to the Jewish Passover as to the Christian feast of Jesus' resurrection. It is Pascha, Pascha, Pasqua, Pascha. The English name, on the other hand, derives from the ancient German spring festival, about which we know very little today. Thus the term Paschal mystery does not have quite the same associations for us as it has for others. It is this mystery, according to the Catechism, that stands at the center of the Gospel. Catechism of the Catholic Church, paragraph number 571. And the other feasts, all the other mysteries point to the central mystery we celebrate at Easter. Catechism of the Catholic Church, paragraph number 1171. It is the same Paschal mystery that we celebrate every Sunday, and indeed in every Mass. We may think of this memorial as wandering concentric circles whose heart is the Lord's saving passion. For Christians, the Paschal mystery should evoke the ancient Passover, when all the firstborn children of Israel were spared, when the first chosen people were liberated from slavery, and when they embarked upon their journey to the Promised Land. Their deliverance began in each household. With the sacrifice of a lamb and the smearing of the lamb's blood on the doorpost, in future generations, Jews could recall those saving events, but would also consider them allegorical as God's continued deliverance of His people out of vice and into virtue. In the fullness of time, Jesus came as the Lamb of God. The Gospel of John chapter 1 verse 29. For his disciple he was Christ, our Paschal Lamb, who has been crucified. The first letter of St. Paul to the Corinthians chapter 5 verse 7. For Christians, the Passover has not been abolished, but rather fulfilled. Let us therefore, said St. Paul, celebrate the festival not with the old leaven, but leaven of malice and evil. but with the unleavened bread of the sincerity and truth. The first letter of St. Paul to the Corinthians chapter 5 verse 8. Raised up in the traditions of Judaism, the first Christian could see both the community and discontinuity from the Old Covenant to the New. They still celebrate the festival with unleavened bread. But now the sacrifice was Christ himself, who had made an explicit offering of his body at the Last Supper. It was that moment, that Paschal meal, that transformed his acquisition into a once-for-all sacrifice. The Old Testament Passover began with the Israel redemption of the firstborn and liberation from slavery, but it culminated much later with the people's entrance into the Promised Land, a land of flowing with milk and honey. The book of Joshua chapter 5 verse 6. Between those events, the tribes wandered in the desert for 40 years. Those years were a time of purification when God purged the Israelites of the residual effects of generations of conduct with Egyptian idolatry. That pattern plays itself out in Jesus' own life. Before he launched his public ministry, inaugurating his kingdom, he fasted and prayed for 40 days in the wilderness. He did this even though he was sinless and had no need of purification. His fast was like his baptism, a model for his disciples to imitate. So every year, as we prepare to celebrate Easter, the great feast of the Paschal mystery, we undergo purification through 40 days of desert, the 40 days of Lent. Lent is the season that begins on Ash Wednesday and ends on Holy Saturday, the day before Easter. When we exclude Sunday, the ancient fathers forbade fasting on Sundays. That usually makes for a total of 40 days. The number 40 is primarily symbolic, and it is richly symbolic. The earliest reference we have to a 40-day preparation for Easter is in the canons of the Council of Nicaea, 325 AD. One of the most compact expressions of its meaning, however, appears in the work of Saint John in the 5th century. He describes Lent as the tithe of the year, because it is roughly a tenth of the days in a year. We give those days to the Lord as a special offering, and in doing so, we imitate his own fast, as he intended to us do so. The Old Testament models of Israel in the wilderness and of Moses and Elijah, who also underwent 40-day fasts. Thanks for watching Heaven Eternal Home. God bless you all.